abantu benshi bagira ama experience atandukanye.
People have different experiences.
So ndabizara abantu biteguye kutujudging online.
There are some people who are judging us online.
We're speaking of our own experiences.
Ako turavuga twebwe ibyo twabayemo.
No namwe murabifasha uko mwabyaplika mu buzima.
And also you will see how you can apply it in your life.
I mean, cause ya mbere ya deception mu buzima ni expectations.
The first reason of deception is expectation.
Abantu benshi tugwaye depression kubera expectation tujyana.
So many people have depression because of their expectation. Kubera ko abandi bantu bose bakuzengurutse ari byo bari gukora.
Sometimes you don't see it as a problem.
Ntago bibona nka hari ikibazo.
And then you start losing your life slowly.
Ugatangira kubura ubuzima bwawe gake gake.
And somehow we don't transition to living like Caucasians, like, you know, Americans who are there.
Ntago birangira tutari kubaho nk'abanyamerika wenda batuyeyo.
So we stay with the same mindset like other Africans, you know, in the diaspora.
Tukagumana imitekerereze imwe n'abanyafrika wenda bagiye hanze.
Where our values are really around making money.
Aho indangagaciro zacu zahindutse gukora amafaranga gusa. The muzungu umwe wo muri UK.
When you say that the Americans have a harder time balancing life.
Ivuze ngo abanyamerika birabagora kubaho ubuzima bw'akazi ndetse n'ubuzima busanzwe bwabo.
But they still have more money.
Ariko bakaba bagifite amafaranga menshi.
What do you think that the Rwandans understand which the Americans don't?
Wumva ari ki abanyamerika bumva abanyarwanda batumva?
Ndanumva impamvu nabashije nazamuye ukuboko igihe bavuze ngo ni bande bantu bashaka kujya gutura amahanga.
The reason I raised my hand when they asked people want to go live abroad. I think I'm the first one. Even though they lifted up their hands in their hearts. So I want to ask you.
Hariho ngo amahame yo kuba successful ngo namwe hano no muri Amerika.
Repeat something about the principles of becoming successful being the same. Someone is dreaming to go abroad. In 1 year. And we see different houses being lifted up here. Are those principles the same? We had people who had achieved different things in terms of works. And that's what we want the youth to do. To be entrepreneurs so that you can live well. And also to influence why you have capability. Today we have another topic.
Sinzi hari ufite amatsiko yo kumenya ibintu tugiye kuganiraho.
Are you curious?
Yeah, dufite topic nziza cyane.
We have a good topic.
Nanjye wicaye ngaha ndumva mfitemo akantu k'ubwoba cyane kubera iyo topic tugiye kuganira.
Even me, I'm a bit afraid because of the topic.
Ariko ni nziza.
But it is good.
Turi kumwe n'abashyitsi mbere yuko wenda njya kuvuga kuri topic tugiye kuganiraho.
We are together with guests before I announce the topic.
Uyu mupapa mureba nje nitwa Alain.
My name is Alain.
Umunterpreter nawe yatwibwira.
My name is Cynthia Cyuzuzo.
Cyuzuzo, yes, Cynthia. Nawe turakwakiriye. Uwo mugabo ukurikiye uwo mupapa.
The man next.
Afite umwirondoro ngiye kuwusoma ari kuri mu Cyongereza.
I'm going to read his bio but it's in English.
Uraza kuwusobanura. Uyu mupapa yitwa, his name is Jean Rutonesha.
Yitwa Jean Rutonesha.
Married with 3 kids.
Afite abana batatu.
He lives in Portland.
Atuye muri Portland.
He's a serial entrepreneur in healthcare.
Ni rwiyemezamirimo.
Agriculture and real estate.
Mu buhinzi, mu kubaka amazu ya real estate.
Jean is a co-founder of Standard Care LLC.
Ari mu bantu batangije ikigo cyitwa Standard Care LLC.
A main healthcare agency.
Na main healthcare agency.
That is employing more than 200 employees.
Bifite abakozi barenga 200.
Twabikomera amashyi. Jean is also the owner of Rutonesha Properties,
Jean kandi afite Rutonesha Properties,
a diverse a portfolio that is venturing in single family homes and multiple family homes.
aho bashaka kubaka amazu y'imiryango cyangwa se imiryango ababyeyi bibana bashobora kubamo.
He also serves on the board of Community Credit Union,
aba kandi no muri board ya Community Union,
a bank in Greater Urban Lewiston area.
banke iri muri Lewiston area.
So he also serves on the board of Farm Yield Africa,
akaba kandi no mu nteko ya Farm Yield Africa,
an agricultural entity that is serving more than 1,800 farmers in northern Ghana.
ikigo cy'ubuhinzi gifasha abantu barenga 1000 muri Ghana.
Uwonisha twamukomera amashyi. Next to him dufite mushiki wacu nawe
umwegereye
yitwa Zenke Tuyishime.
her name are
Did I pronounce it well? Yeah, Zenke Tuyishime.
Zenk Tuyishima her names.
She's also a co-founder and quality assurance lead at Gateway Hope Services.
nawe yatangije ikigo cya Gateway Hope Services.
She's a compassionate healthcare professional
aba no muri healthcare industry,
with extensive experience in nursing and healthcare administration.
afite ubunararibonye mu buvuzi.
So as the co-founder and quality assurance lead at Gateway Hope Services,
muri kigo cya Gateway,
she's deeply committed to ensure that individuals and families receive the care and support they need to thrive.
yifuza ko abantu ku giti cyabo ndetse n'imiryango babona ubuvuzi bukwiriye.
Living in Indiana, USA,
atuye muri Indiana, USA.
Zenk strives to make a meaningful difference through her work and by actively engaging with her community.
mu kazi ke yifuza gukora itandukanyirizo muri sosiyete atuyemo.
With dual bachelor's degree in nursing and healthcare administration,
akaba afite impamyabumenyi muri nursing na healthcare.
she combines her technical knowledge with health-felt dedication to improve health outcomes. Ahuza ubumenyi afite buri technique n'umutima we wose mu kuzamura imibereho y'abantu. Zenk's journey has been shaped by resilience and determination. Are you still there?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Zenk's journey has been shaped by resilience and determination.
urugendo rwe rwari rwo with
Resilience and determination. Sinzi resilience ikinyarwanda cyayo.
kudacika intege.
Yes. And determination, which fuels her passion and mentorship and youth empowerment.
urugendo rwe kudacika intege mugira ngo afashe guteza imbere urubyiruko.
She believes in inspiring young people
shaka gushyigikira no guteza imbere urubyiruko
to pursue their goals,
kugira ngo abafashe ngo bakurikire intego zabo zo mu buzima,
embrace leadership,
bajye mu buyobozi
and create positive change in their communities.
kandi bahindure aho batuye.
So abo nibo bantu turi kumwe hano, twabakomera amashyi menshi cyane.
Those are the people we are together.
So uyu munsi turashaka kuganira ku buzima benshi duhura nabwo,
We are going to discuss about the life we normally are living in.
aho twisanga rimwe na rimwe dukeneye kwimuka cyangwa se kuva aho dutuye tukimukira mu bihugu by'amahanga.
Where in different times we want to move from our country to abroad.
Hano hari abantu bifuza kujya mu mahanga.
Are there people who want to go abroad?
Nibazamura ikiganza tubarebe.
You can lift up your
Pastor Ben,
hand.
kujya gutura mu mahanga rwose ntabwo biteye isoni, ni ikintu cyiza.
If you want to live abroad, you can lift up your hand.
Twese turabishaka nubwo mwacecetse ndabizi.
We all want it even though you are keeping quiet.
Yeah, ibyo ni ibintu, ni trend iri hanze.
That is something that is trending.
Abantu benshi bifuza kujya hanze.
Many people want to go abroad.
So, abatumirwa bacu bombi dufite ahangaha
Our two guests here,
batuye mu bihugu by'amahanga,
they live abroad,
ariko kandi banatuye muri bihugu byacu bya Afrika cyangwa se bya East Africa.
but also they operate in East Africa.
So twabatumiye kugira ngo tuganire, twibaze tese ni ngombwa, ni byiza kujya mu mahanga cyangwa twakwigumira inahangaha.
So we welcome them to discuss, is it good to go abroad or we can stay here?
Hari igihe abantu baba bafite amakuru atariyo.
Sometimes people have wrong news.
Pastor Ben wenda nawe twari kuba twamutumiye sinzi amaze igihe agenda mu mahanga.
Pastor Ben should be here. He's been traveling so much these days.
So hari igihe dushobora kuba wenda dutekereza ko amahanga ari mu ijuru.
Sometimes we think going abroad is in heaven.
Bishobora kuba ari byo cyangwa atari byo.
It could be true or not.
Bishobora kuba wenda dukeneye kujyayo cyangwa byaba byiza ariko twaguma ahanga.
It might be that you need to go or maybe we should stay.
So ibyo nibyo tugiye kuganira muri aka kanya gato.
We are discussing that in this short moment.
Jean, uraho?
Muraho.
Ya twishimiye kubana nawe.
We are happy to be with you.
Twumvise ushobora kuba umaze igihe utuye mu mahanga hari ibintu bikomeye wagezeho.
We've heard that it's been a while since you're living abroad.
Twifuzaga kukubaza ikibazo cya mbere.
We want to ask you the first question.
Ni gute wisanze mu mahanga ko abantu twese tubishaka?
How did you travel abroad?
Ni gute wowe wisanze wagezeyo?
How did you get there?
Murakoze Alain.
Thank you very much.
Bwa mbere ndashima Imana ko ndi hano.
I thank God that I'm here.
Nkaba nshimira n'ubuyobozi bw'itorero cyane cyane Professor Bishop Fidel Masengo kuri opportunity yo kuba hano no gusangira experience yacu ntoya.
Thanking the leadership of the church, especially the father of the house, Bishop Fidel Masengo.
Experience yacu nkeya n'urubyiruko rugenzi rwacu.
Our short experience with the youth.
Yewe nagiye muri Amerika muri 2014.
I went in US in 2014.
Nari ntuye hano mu Rwanda
I was living in
n'umunyeshuri
Rwanda as a student.
Muri high school.
In high school.
Ingirwa amahirwe ndatsinda.
I passed my exams.
Hari bourse yahozeho yarangiranye n'umwaka wanjye.
There was a scholarship which ended with my year.
Nimba ngiye wabiteye kugira ngo iveho simbizi.
It might have been me who caused it.
Yitwaga presidential scholarship.
It was the presidential scholarship.
So Imana iramfasha byukuri sinavuga ko ari ubwenge bwanjye gusa. N'umugisha w'Imana.
It was a blessing.
Ndatsinda muri senior 6 hanyuma nongera no gukora ama examen mbona iyo bourse.
I passed and I also got that scholarship.
So nuko nagiye muri Amerika. Niyo nzira yanwe muri Amerika.
That was my way.
Zenke nawe watubwira niba atari ubuzima bwite biranemera rwose kuba ikibazo utagisubiza cyangwa se hari impamvu yatuma utabivugaho nabyo nta kibazo turi buze kubigiraho ariko biramutse hari icyo wabivugaho uko wisanze nawe muri biriya bihugu wabitubwira.
Zenke, you can also share with us if it's not too personal.
All right, thank you so much.
I greet you all.
Banje kubisiguraho kubera ko ikinyarwanda cyanjye ntago ari cyiza.
I said sorry before because my Kinyarwanda is not good.
So ndagerageza kuvanga.
So I'll be mixing.
Okay, so mbanje kubashimira Foursquare, Bishop Professor Masengo.
I start by thanking Bishop Professor Masengo.
By the way, he's my spiritual parent.
N'umubyeyi wanjye wo mu mwuka.
Yes. Kuba yampaye iyi platform kuba navugira ahangaha uyu munsi.
For giving me this platform to speak here today.
And I thank the committee of the youth Joshua Generation Connection.
Ndashimira n'abateguye igiterane Joshua Generation Connection.
For selecting me among all these amazing people.
Kumitamo muri aba bantu bose beza.
So, my one day yageze.
This is my one day.
So, uburyo rero nisanze muri Amerika.
The way I traveled to America.
Nagiye muri Amerika muri 2015.
I went to America in 2015.
Ngenda nsanzeyo ababyeyi banjye.
Meeting my parents there.
Niho bakoreraga umurimo w'Imana.
That's where they served the Lord.
Twari tumaze imyaka 7 turi separate.
It's been 7 years since we were separated.
Ariko Imana ikora igitangaza manze mukome mu mashi igitangaza.
First clap for the miracle God did.
Ikora igitangaza nari nkiri mutoya turabasanga as a family.
I was still young, we went there as a family.
And then Imana ikora ibikomeye, we became reunited as a family.
Imana ikora ibikomeye tukongera guhura nk'umuryango.
So that's how I found myself in the US.
Nuko nagiye muri Amerika.
Thank you.
Murakoze cyane. Jean rwose ati nagiye ngiye kwiga nabonye bourse.
Jean said he went to study.
Nagiye nsanze umuryango wanjye.
Zeng said I reached there for my family.
Ikibazo tujya twibaza nanjye nakwibaza wageze usanga uko wabitekereza gukiri muri Afrika ariko bimeze.
The first question is
mbere wenda yuko nabivuga unabisubiza tuzi ko muri Amerika iyo ugezeyo banza ku kibuga utangira gutoragura amadolari ukigerayo wagerayo rwose nta bukene bukiriyo banza n'indwara zitabayo sinzi ko zibayo.
We think that when you go there you start picking dollars from the airport, maybe there's not even sickness.
Niba zinahari ariko ngo hari ubuvuzi bukomeye ku buryo kugira ngo indwara ikwice bese byaba ari ka idashobora kuboneka n'ibindi byinshi byiza tuba dutekereza twaba taragerayo.
Even if there are diseases, maybe there is a good healthcare system.
Ugezeyo wasanze nawe ariko bimeze.
When you reach there,
araboneka byoroshye ibintu byose biroroshye.
Was it easy to get dollars?
Cyangwa se wasanze bitandukanye no kwa bitekerezaga.
Or maybe it's different from what you thought.
Jean yatusubiza kuri icyo kibazo.
Jean can answer us.
Urakoze Alain.
Thank you Alain.
I think nanjye nda sharing ana peut-être naza kuri kintu. So disclaimer, turavuga ama experience yacu.
We are going to share our experiences.
Abantu benshi bagira ama experience atandukanye.
People have different experiences.
So ndabizi hari abantu biteguye kutujudging online.
There are some people who are judging us online.
We're speaking of our own experiences.
Ako turavuga twebwe ibyo twabayemo.
No namwe murabifasha uko mwabyaplika mu buzima.
And also you will see how you can apply it in your life.
I mean, cause ya mbere ya deception mu buzima ni expectations.
The first reason of deception is expectation.
Abantu benshi tugwaye depression kubera expectation tujyana.
So many people have depression because of their expectation.
Twituye muri Oklahoma City niho nagiye kwigira.
When I arrived in Oklahoma,
ndibuka abana twari kumwe umwe yarabajije umuzungu waruje kudufata ngo where are the houses.
A colleague we were together asked a white man with us, where are the houses?
Kubera ko nyine hari amazu mato twari twite twari tuzi ko ari Los Angeles, New York.
We preparing to see skylight houses, but then we found that they were not as we thought.
Aho twanyuze nta n'inzu iresha niyo kwa Rubangura iri hari.
There's not even a house.
So namazu mato tavugetse ahantu tuje ni.
And we were wondering where did we come?
Iyo yari deception ya mbere.
That was the first deception.
So personnellement America ntabwo nayisanze nkuko nayitekerezaga.
Personally, the US was not how I was expecting.
Hano abantu cyane benshi tuba mu mafami.
Here people are living in families.
America ni igihugu kiri a little bit individualistic.
In the US buri wese abaho ukubwe.
Of course njye nagiye ngiye kwiga so nashikiye mu kigo imyaka 4 namazeyo.
I went to study.
Muri mudi y'ikigo.
And in the 4 years I was at school.
Ariko naho najyaga hari challenging.
But even where I went, there was challenges.
Challenge ya mbere ni weather.
The first challenge was the weather.
Nacyari mu kwezi k'umunani hashushe.
In August, it was very hot.
Natwaye amapantaro nakuye mu isoko ya Kimironko.
While I had pants from Kimironko,
bitajyanye na weather.
Which was not according to the weather.
Behaviors z'abantu.
The behaviors of people.
Expectations y'ukuntu ugomba kwikorera ibintu.
The expectation of doing things on your own.
Hano udafite amafaranga yo gutega wagenda n'amaguru ukajya ku isoko ukikorera gahunda zawe kwa.
Here if you don't have transport fee you can walk.
But hariya you have to know how to drive.
But there ariko hari ugomba kumenya gutwara.
Without it you're almost crippled.
Udatwaye ni nkaho uba ufite ubumuga.
So abantu benshi bagira iyo challenge.
So many people have that challenge.
Kera muri 2000 wabonaga imodoka ari nka luxury.
In 2000 you would see a car as luxurious.
Nabonye imodoka zarabaye nyinshi mu Rwanda kubera ambutiyaje zihari.
Nowadays there is a huge jam in Rwanda because of so many cars.
But muri Amerika imodoka ni necessity, ni nka telefone, ni nka something you need on a daily basis.
But in the US a car is like a necessity.
So ntagiye majya mu menshi ntabwo expectations zanjye zari zitandukanye cyane ayo mafaranga n'ubu ntayo ndabona.
So in short, even that money I'm not seeing it now.
Mazeyo more than 10 years.
I've been there more than 10 years.
So very, very, well, not very, very, but somewhat different. Kubyo natekerezaga njya muri Amerika. Murakoze.
It was different from what I thought.
Yeah, arakoze ja. Arakoze rwose byari bitandukanye nuko nabitekerezaga.
Thank you John. She says it was different from what he thought.
Abari kujyayo mu byitege mu making sure ko ibyo avuga tubyumva cyane kugira ngo twitegure.
People who are going there clear expectations.
Zenk wowe umaze kugerayo experience yawe yabaye iyihe?
What was your experience about using?
Ni igiki cyagutunguye ugeze muri Amerika? Ni iki kintu wabonye uravuga ngo ibi sinatekereza ko ari gutya bimeze?
What surprised you when you arrived in the US?
All right, thank you, Ale.
Arakoze Alain.
First of all, one thing that surprised me
Icyantangaje cyane
was the culture shock.
ni umuco utandukanye.
It is way, way different.
Biratandukanye cyane.
I've seen, just going to the water,
Gusa kujya nko ku mazi
you find someone with maybe their mother-in-law, father-in-law,
usanga umuntu ari kumwe na nyirabukwe cyangwa sebukwe
and they're dressed differently.
bambaye uburyo twe tutakwambara.
So you start wondering,
Ugatekereza
this is brand new. I've never seen this before.
ibi sinabibonye.
So number one was the culture shock.
So imico iratandukanye.
And then came the accent, how people speak.
Ukuntu abantu bavuga,
You're trying to speak, they do not understand sometimes.
iyo uvuze wenda we ntibakumva,
You're trying so hard to fit in,
ugashyiramo imbaraga nyinshi kugira ngo use nabo,
but then it comes to a time you don't give up.
ugera ahantu ugakomeza gushyiramo imbaraga ntucike intege,
And then you get it.
nawe bikaza kugenda neza.
So another thing that was really hard to adjust to,
Ikindi cyangoye kumenyera,
Jazz said it over here, it was the weather.
Jean yabivuze, ni uburyo igihe kimeze.
When I arrived in the US,
Ngezeyo
we first lived in Portland, Maine. Portland, Maine.
babaga ahantu hitwa Portland, Maine.
And oh my goodness, it was super, super cold.
Kandi harakonjaga cyane.
I'd never seen snow in my life.
Sinigeze mbona neje na rimwe,
And there it was hitting us.
kandi icyo gihe byari biri byinshi aho twari dutuye.
So also, like he said, I'll add on the expectation, basically.
Ibyo nari niteze,
Sometimes people over here think that maybe the US is like a little heaven.
abantu benshi hano bumva ari nk'ijuru rito yo kujya hanze cyangwa Amerika.
Like he said, you think you're going to find skyscrapers everywhere.
Uba wumva uri buze kubona inzu ndende cyane ahantu hose,
But then you find yourself surrounding with people that look like you, basically.
ukabona uri kumwe n'abantu basa nawe,
And then you have to learn to adjust.
ugomba kumenyerana
So I would
nabo.
say that's what
Ibyo
happened.
nibyo navuga byambayeho.
Yeah, thank you so much. Birumvikana rwose, ariko ikibazo nakwibaza ahangaha,
Another question I have,
ni iki iyo mugezeyo mutekereza ko Afurika turusha biriya bihugu?
what do you think Africa is better
Cya kintu
than
ugereyo
those
kumvura
countries?
kibuze,
When you get there,
ukavuga ngo rwose nkumbuye Afurika, I could be back, nubwo kugaruka wenda bitaba byoroshye, ariko niki cya kintu wumva muri Afurika dufite abari hariya nabo bakwifuza kuko
what is
mwarahabaye
something
nabo?
that you miss in Africa that you feel like people there also can have?
Can you hear me? I think quality of life.
Uburyo ubuzima buteye.
Kubera ko cyane cyane abanyafurika,
Many people in Africa,
izo expectation tujyana,
ibyo tuba twiteze,
uba wumva ugomba kubona amafaranga menshi,
you feel like you're going to get so much money
ukayabona vuba,
and quickly.
ugahita uba umukire,
You are rich
donc ukabaho neza.
and you are living well.
I think majorite yacu ibyo biradupushinga,
The majority of us, that's what pushes us.
ugasanga noneho amadecision turi gukora
And you find decision you are making
are rotating around that,
azengurutswe n'ibyo bitekerezo.
bikaba identite yacu.
And that's your identity.
Umuntu agakora amasaha menshi,
You're working so many hours,
noneho ugasanga umuntu uri kwimba umwobo,
you look like someone who is digging a hole for yourself,
that's never ending.
which is never going to end.
So ugasanga quality of your life igenda igabanuka.
Umwimerere w'ubuzima bwawe urahinduka.
So muri economics hari ikintu bita opportunity cost,
There is opportunity cost in economics.
twese twagize opportunity cost. Kuba turi muri Foursquare uyu munsi twahisemo kutaba ahandi hantu hose.
If you're in Foursquare right now, you've had an opportunity cost to be here than elsewhere.
So the fact that we're here,
Kuba turi aha,
nuko twahise, sorry, ndimo kumixing, let me choose one language, like Zank. It's okay, okay. So your opportunity cost, you spending more time at work,
when you spend so much time at work,
then you don't have enough time with your family.
iyo umara umwanya munini mu kazi ntabwo uba ufite umwanya uhagije n'umuryango wawe.
And because everyone else around you is doing the same,
kubera ko abandi bantu bose bakuzengurutse ari byo bari gukora,
sometimes you don't see it as a problem.
ntabwo bibona nk'aho ari ikibazo.
And then you start losing your life slowly.
ugatangira kubura ubuzima bwawe gake gake.
And somehow we don't transition to living like Caucasians, like, you know, Americans who are there.
ntago birangira tutari kubaho nk'abanyamerika wenda batuyeyo.
So we stay with the same mindset like other Africans, you know, in the diaspora,
tukagumana imitekerereze imwe n'abanyafurika wenda bagiye hanze,
where our values are really around making money.
aho indangagaciro zacu zahindutse gukora amafaranga gusa.
And it's understandable why.
birumvikana kandi koko
Most of us come from poor families.
abenshi bava mu miryango idakize.
So the real value is really to, you know, make money for yourself and to be able to help your loved ones.
indangagaciro rero zo kuba wakorera amafaranga ugafasha bagenzi bawe cyangwa umuryango wawe nicyo kintu twese tuba dushyize imbere.
But that threatens the quality of life.
ariko bituma umwimerere w'ubuzima bwawe uhinduka.
Because only one area grows.
kuko igice cyawe kimwe cyonyine mu buzima bwawe nicyo kiba kiri gukura.
You find that your spiritual life, you know, dwindles.
usanga ubuzima bwawe bwo mu mwuka busubira inyuma.
Your spiritual life dwindles. I mean, your social life dwindles.
ubuzima bwawe bwo kubana n'abandi nabwo bugasubira inyuma.
Your intellectual life is non-existent.
ubwenge bwawe nabwo bukagenda busubira inyuma.
So there is no way one can thrive with just one area of life thriving.
nta kuntu rero umuntu yatera imbere ari ubuzima bwe ari igice kimwe cy'ubuzima bwe kitera imbere.
So when we look back,
iyo dusubije amaso inyuma,
we really envy the African way of life in a sense.
twifuza kukubaho muri Afurika.
Because the quality of life is there.
kubera ko hari umwimerere w'ubuzima.
There's balance between work and family.
ubana n'umuryango ukajya no mu kazi.
People can afford to participate in hobbies.
ushobora no gukora ibintu wishimira.
There's social life.
ukabana n'abandi.
People can spend enough time at church and, really commune with, one another.
ushobora kumara umwanya munini ku rusengero.
All of which are fulfilling to our lives.
ibyo byose kandi bigira icyo bikumarira mu buzima.
So to me, I think most African immigrants really envy the quality of life back home.
rero numva ikintu tubura cyane ari ubwo umwimerere w'ubuzima iyo tugiye hanze.
arakoze cyane Jean.
Thank you very much Jean.
ubuzima bwo muri Afurika bwo gusabana, kubona umwanya w'imiryango, kubona umwanya wo kuza gusenga, burya ni ibintu bifite agaciro kanini.
The life together, the life to fellowship with one another, that's the good thing that we have in Africa.
ikibazo ndi bubaze Zenk agiye kudusubizaho ni ikibazo kijyanye n'abantu bari kwitegura kujyayo kuko turabafite.
Another question I'm going to ask to Zenk is for the people who are preparing to go there.
kubw'impamvu z'amashuri, kubw'impamvu z'imiryango, kubw'impamvu zitandukanye.
People who want to go for families, for schools.
Sometimes hari igihe plans bafite hano bayahagarika.
Sometimes they stop the plans they have here.
ugasanga niba wigaga ishuri ukarihagarika ukavuga ngo si ngombwa ko nkomeza ishuri kubera ko ngomba kujya kuba muri Amerika.
Maybe you stop studying because you want to go abroad and live in the US.
si ngombwa ko nkomeza gukora business kubera ko mu mezi abiri mu myaka ibiri nzajya gutura muri Amerika.
You can stop your business because you want to go abroad in 2 months also.
abari kwitegura koko ni ngombwa ko bareka kwiga, bareka gutekereza business, bareka gukora ibindi bakora bibateza imbere kubera ko bategereje kujya muri Amerika.
Should the people preparing stop living in their lives because they are going to go abroad?
amashuri wize muri Afurika iyo ugeze muri Amerika cyangwa se n'ahandi ntabwo agira agaciro cyangwa
The studies you've done in Africa, are they relevant when you get in the US?
watusubiza kuri icyo kibazo.
Thank you. That's a good question.
Icyo ni ikibazo cyiza.
I would say that the worst enemy of mankind
Navuga ko umwanzi wa mbere w'umuntu
is drawing higher expectations.
ni ugukora ingero nyinshi cyane.
Every time when you draw high expectations,
iyo wizeye cyane ibintu biri hejuru,
you end up becoming disappointed.
ugeraho ukababara.
So I argue, my dear brothers and sisters,
icyo nabwira rero bagenzi banjye,
not to draw higher expectations.
ntushyire hejuru cyane ibitekerezo byawe.
You can still make it where you are.
ushobora kubaho neza aho uri ubu ngubu.
I'm not saying that the US is bad.
So kuvuga ngo Amerika ni habi.
But there are also opportunities where you are and in what you do.
Ariko aho uri naho hari amahirwe.
I'm going to give you an example, familiar example.
nabaha urugero rutumenyereye.
I think we are all familiar with Mel C. watangiye Jen's Comedy.
We are all familiar with Mercy who started Jen's Comedy.
He's a young youth
Ni umuntu w'urubyiruko
watangiye ikintu cyiza cyane.
who started a good thing.
Hari abantu benshi bavuga ahangaha turi nta ma opportunities ahari.
So many people say here where we are there are no opportunities.
Ariko nyamara ufite gutekereza beyond.
But if you think beyond
Ugashiramo creative skills.
and you are creative,
Mu by'ukuri urumva nk'ibintu yatangiye ni comedy.
the thing he started was comedy.
Yabitangiye ari ibintu bitoya cyane.
It was a small thing when he started,
Ariko every other Thursday
but every other Thursday,
abantu rimwe na rimwe basigaye banasiba n'akazi kugira ngo ajye kumureba.
people are missing their work so that they can go there.
So icyo nshatse kubanza kuvuga
The example I'm giving,
ni ukuvuga ngo ntimureke ibyo murimo.
do not stop what you are doing.
Mwakoresha ibyo mufite n'aho muri.
You can use what you have and where you are.
And also mukanagaininga skills and experiences zabafasha in a near life.
And you gain skills and experience to help you in your near future.
Uburyo rero mwakwitegura wenda ubonye amahirwe yo kujya mu mahanga.
So you can prepare if you get an opportunity to go abroad.
Personally inama nabagira
On my behalf, what I can say
ni yerekeranye na communication.
is about communication
Cyangwe kuba uzi ururimi.
or to be knowing a language.
Isi yo mu mahanga kenshi wenda tuvuge nka Amerika.
When you go in the US or abroad,
Usanga abantu bose bavuga icyongereza.
many people are speaking English.
So bizakugora kwi-adjustinga
It will be difficult to adjust
utazi ururimi.
if you don't know the language.
Ariko ufashe umwanya hano gatoya
But if you take a little bit of time here,
ukiga
you study,
nubwo wamenya basics
even if you know the basics,
ntago bigusaba ngo ugende umenye ama vocabulary akomeye.
it's not for you to know many
Aho ngaho
vocabularies.
niho wahera
That's where you can start.
kandi byagufasha cyane muri ubwo buzima.
And it can help.
Ikindi kintu
Another thing,
mbona kiri very helpful
which is also very helpful,
ni ugushaka abantu bageze, people who have gotten somewhere.
is to seek, gushaka abantu bagize aho bagera.
Well, hari abantu benshi bageze muri Amerika
There are people who reached in the US
and have been there for so long
kandi bakamaraho igihe kinini
but haven't achieved a lot.
ariko nta bintu byinshi bagezeho.
So you have to be smart and selective
Ugomba kugira ubwenge rero ukagira abo uhitamo,
in whom you choose for advice.
abagugira inama ukabahitamo neza.
Yes, and also ku bantu bakiri batoya
And also for the young people,
navuga ngo education nayo ni huge thing.
I would say education is a big deal.
Uri kwitegura kujya mu mahanga,
If you are preparing to go abroad,
tuvuge wenda ufite bachelors mu kintu runaka,
if you have bachelors in a particular aspect,
byaba byiza ubanze ugashaka nka equivalence
it will be good for you to get the equivalence
kuko biragufasha uramutse ukeneye kwiga.
because it helps you when you want to study.
I'm not saying wenda ngo ama faculties yose barayafata,
I can't say that they are going to take all the faculties,
especially nk'iziri medical cyangwa law,
like medical or law,
depending on their culture or setting.
bitewe n'umuco w'ahantu ugiye.
But izindi wenda ziri ku ruhande
Others which are in different areas,
barashobora kuvunjamo credit zanyu into something.
you can make your credit give you another subject to study,
Yes, and then ukaba ufite standard. So
that you can get the standard.
basically nabagira inama ko mwagerageza, hari ama websites menshi online,
I can advise you to research online
mukagerageza mukikorera equivalence
so you get the equivalence,
kugira ngo murebe nimba n'ibintu mwigiye hano
for you to even see if what you studied here
byaba considered.
can be considered where you are going.
So that's a form or a way that you can prepare yourself.
Ubwo nibwo buryo ushobora kwitegura.
Singiye kuvugamo ibindi wenda ngo you should know how to drive.
I can't say so many about learning how to drive.
Like he said, gutwara hariya,
As he said, driving there,
it's like a basic need.
ni nk'ikintu kibanze mu buzima.
Hano biroroshe, you can get by just walking.
Ahangaha biroroshye ushobora kugenda byibura n'amaguru ugatambuka.
Ariko hariya ntaho wagera utitwara.
But there, if you don't know how to drive, you are not reaching anywhere.
So nk'abantu bakiri batoya hano,
So as young people,
I argue that that's something you can do for yourself.
icyo ni ikintu ushobora kwihuguraho,
Byagukuraho less stress ugeze mu mahanga.
which can also remove stress when you arrive abroad.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Birumvikana rwose twabikomera amashyi. Ja, numvise ko uri umuntu wagiye utangira ibintu bikomeye.
I've heard that you've started different important things.
Companies akoresha abantu barenga 200.
Companies that are employing above 200 people.
Sometimes mu makuru hari abantu bakubwira ngo hariya biragoye ko watangira ikintu ngo gikomere.
In the information that we receive, it is hard to start something
muri Afrika, ariko ntabwo tuzi ko hariya watangira company gakomera ikagera ahantu yakoresha abakozi bangana guki.
We know we can start it in Africa, but abroad it's difficult.
Wenda n'abari gukurikiye bari muri ya bihugu babyigiraho wenda.
Even others in those countries, they can also learn.
Ni gute umuntu yatangira company hariya akabasha kugeraho akoresha abantu bangana gutya?
How can someone start a company abroad and employ those people?
Natwe tubyige tukiri hano, abazagenda already bafite ubumenyi,
so that we can learn from there.
Ntekereza ko biragoye.
I'm thinking it's difficult. It's not easy.
Cyane cyane kuba immigrants.
For the immigrants.
Kubera ko nta connections tuba dufite.
Because we don't have connections.
Kandi ukiyagera ukeneye gukora kugira ngo ufeeling basic needs zawe.
When you reach there, you need to start working for your basic needs.
So ugasanga ntabwo ufite time yo kugira ngo ukore ibisabwa kugira ngo utangire business.
So you don't really have time to do the necessary to start that business.
Obviously, the principles of success are the same.
Kugira ngo umuntu atsinde ni amahame amwe.
They're the same here in Rwanda or in the US.
Ni amahame amwe hano mu Rwanda cyangwa se hanze.
The same principles you can use to start a business here are the same you can use to start a business in the US.
Amahame wakoresha utangira business yawe hano niyo wakoresha no hanze.
So, of course, America is a more mature economy.
Hari ukuntu ho bateye imbere, ari igihugu giteye imbere.
Rwanda's GDP is like $14 billion.
GDP yo mu Rwanda ni nka 14 billion.
America's GDP is almost $30 trillion.
Mu gihe ari nka 13 trillion muri Amerika.
Of course, the more opportunities in the US.
Hari amahirwe menshi muri Amerika.
More industries.
Hari ibintu byinshi byatangiye cyangwa imishinga myinshi.
So, but if you're determined.
Ariko ushyizeho umuhate.
Let me go back because I'm passionate about this topic.
Nsubira inyuma gato kuko ibi ngibi ndabikunda cyane.
I think for young people, the biggest of decisions you have to make
urubyiruko icyemezo cya mbere wafata
is to decide what you want
no guhitamo icyo ushaka
and who you want to be.
n'uwo ushaka kuba we.
Then the world becomes your library.
Rero isi itangira kuba nk'isomero ryawe.
When you know what you want.
Iyo uzi icyo ushaka.
But that's an exercise we often don't do.
Ariko iyo ni umwitozo tudakunda gukora.
In the curricula, in the academics here in Africa.
Mu myigire y'ahangaha muri Afrika.
I feel like we pass by.
Numva nkaho tuba tumeze nk'abahita.
Someone has a degree but they look confused.
Umuntu akagira impamyabushobozi ariko ukabona ntabwo asobanukiwe.
Even in America, there's a lot of confused people.
No muri Amerika harimo abantu ubona badasobanukiwe.
So you can fail here in Rwanda just like you can fail in America.
Nkuko watsindwa no muri Amerika.
So really take time, especially when you're young, very young.
Ufata umwana wawe niba ukiri muto cyane.
And decide what you want.
Uhitemo icyo ushaka.
What you want to commit the rest of life to.
Icyo ushaka ubuzima bwawe kubuha.
As born again Christians,
nk'abakristu,
of course you decide to follow Jesus Christ.
Ugomba guhitamo gukurikira Yesu.
He gives you peace.
Akaguha amahoro.
And if you ask for wisdom, he gives you wisdom.
Iyo umusabye ubwenge nawe n'ubwenge arabuguha.
And not all of us should start a business, I don't think.
Ntabwo ari twese tugomba kwikorera.
Even a career.
Ndetse n'akazi gasanzwe.
There are a lot of people who are successful and who are who have careers in different industries.
Hari abantu benshi batatangiye ama business kandi bageze ku bintu bikomeye.
But the problem I see
ikibazo mbona
is that we don't know what we want.
Nuko tutazi icyo dushaka.
And we look at our friends.
Tukareba inshuti zacu.
Oh, Jean started a business in Maine.
Kavuga ati Jean yatangije business.
You leave your wife in Kentucky.
Ukavuga umugore wawe muri Kentucky.
You come to Maine.
Ukaza nawe muri Maine.
Maybe you didn't even agree on what you're going to do.
Wenda we n'umufasha wawe ntago mwana byemeranyije.
There is no plan.
Nta mugambi mufite.
You go there.
ukajyayo
the communication becomes poor,
uburyo bwo gukomunika cyangwa uburyo bwo kuvugana n'abantu baho bikakugora,
and your life becomes shaky in that way.
ubuzima bwawe bukahungabanywa.
I would challenge every young person.
Naguha umwitozo.
The greatest decision you can do is look for mentors, look for your friends, look for peers, and then make up your mind, this is what I want.
Igitekerezo cyiza wajya no washaka bakugira inama maze ukamenya icyo ushaka.
Because you know what you're looking for.
Kuko iyo uzi icyo ushaka,
it's easier.
Biroroha.
And then you work hard.
Nawe ugashyiramo imbaraga.
It's even easier now. We live in such a digital world.
Muri iki gihe biroroshye kubera internet.
There's information. Information used to be the key to success. Now information is available. I feel like we have too much information.
Ubwo dufite amakuru menshi cyane.
Which becomes a problem.
Noneho bihinduka n'ikibazo rimwe na rimwe.
Because you don't know what you want. All you do is be distracted every day.
Iyo utazi icyo ushaka rero ubona ayo makuru yose ukayafata.
One day you want to be a sportsman.
Umunsi umwe ugashaka kujya mu bintu by'imyitozo ngororamubiri.
My brother is here. He watches too many games, football.
Hari umuvandimwe wanyu uri hano ureba football cyane.
But then he watches basketball.
Ariko akanareba nabwo na basket.
He is also a banker. He's gonna kill me when I come off stage. He's also a banker.
Akaba kandi akora no muri banke.
And you can be easily confused and distracted in this world.
Ushobora rero kuyoba kubera ayo makuru menshi cyane aba hari.
I honestly think we suffer from a pandemic of distraction.
Mbona dufite icyorezo cyo kurangara.
And other than sin, or even close to sin, another hindrance to success is distraction.
Ikintu cyegera ku cyaha ikindi ni ukurangara.
People want to be everything.
Abantu barashaka kuba ibintu byose.
A jack of all trades.
Barashaka kuba abantu bakora ibintu byose.
And a master of none.
Kandi bakamenya ibintu byose bakayobora ibintu byose.
So when you're in America,
iyo rero uri muri Amerika,
and then say I want to go into real estate.
Ukavuga utwenda ngiye mu by'ubwubatsi.
Of course, you go look for real estate information.
Ukagenda ugashaka amakuru mu byerekeye ubwubatsi.
And then you start small.
Ugatangira gato cyangwa ugahera ku kintu gito.
You work 12 hours.
Warangiza ugakora kugira ngo ugere kuri
And then if you hear something else, you don't jump to the next opportunity. You commit to real estate.
Iyo wumvishe rero amakuru yo mu bindi bintu ntabwo uhindura ahubwo ukomeza muri bimwe by'ubwubatsi wahisemo.
A lot of failures come from people jumping from one thing to another without the first thing maturing that they
Abantu rero
started.
benshi batsindwa kubera ko baba bavuye muri cya kindi bari bashyizeho umutima kitarakura.
I don't know if I answered your question directly, but I think whether you're in America or whether you're here, if you're determined, if you know what you want, if you're persistent and resilient, if you look for information, if you ask people, if you're humble and you're willing to work for nothing to start a business, and with God blessing, I think you can achieve that.
Ntekereza ko rero uramutse uri mu Rwanda cyangwa uri muri Amerika ushyizeho umuhate ukabaza abantu ugashaka amakuru kandi ntuve mu cyo wiyemeje wagera kuri byinshi.
Arakoze rwose birasobanutse ukeneye kumenya amakuru y'ibyo ukeneye gukora.
It is well explained. You need to have information of what you want to do.
Kandi ntuzagurike mu bintu byose.
And also don't interfere in so many things at once.
Icyo ni ikibazo kiri hano natwe utangira ikintu ejo ukaba ukivuyemo ugiye mu kindi ejo kazi ikindi ukakijyamo ugasanga ntabwo ushaka.
That's an issue that we have. You are moving from one thing to another, and that's an issue that we are having as well.
Yes, mbere yuko duha abantu kubaza ibibazo ndashaka kubaza ikibazo cya nyuma ndi bubaze hano ndakibaza Sister Zenke hano.
Before Q&A, I'm going to ask Sister Zenke another question.
Wabwira iki abantu okay iki ni general ntabwo ari kayo umuntu utinda gushaka kubera ko ategereje gushaka mu diaspora.
What can you tell to the people who wait to get married because they want diaspora?
Uri hano uvuga ngo sinzashaka nintabona mu diaspora.
A man who is here who wants a diaspora and waits to marriage.
Uvuga ngo sinzashaka nintabona umusore mu diaspora.
Or a lady here who wants a diaspora and waits to have marriage.
Aba diaspora nibo beza gusa cyangwa no muri Afrika babwira ko babona abageni kandi beza.
Are diasporas much better than the African people?
Abasore bava diaspora nibo beza gusa cyane muri Afrika ari abasore beza.
Kibazo kiragoye.
This is a deep question.
Kiragoye cyane aho ka try ndagerageza. So in my opinion,
ndatekereza
ko mu myaka ishize,
I'm thinking that in the previous years,
hari abantu b'aba diaspora bakeya cyane mu mahanga,
Few diasporas were available.
which is why mwabonaga rimwe na rimwe biba bikaba biratunguranye.
That's why when it happened, it was very surprising.
Ariko ubu ngubu hamaze kujya abantu benshi cyane mu mahanga,
But these days, there are so many people as diasporas.
which is why mugenda mubona bagaruka bagakora amakwe.
That's why they are coming back and do weddings here.
But hari n'abandi benshi banabukorera iriya wenda mutabona.
But there are others who make weddings that way you don't see.
Iyi ni majority mubona nyine.
The ones you are seeing are the majority.
But there is no such way of answering this.
Ntabwo hari uburyo bumwe bwo gusubiza iki kibazo.
Kuko ntabwo wavuga ngo aba diaspora nibo beza.
You can't say diasporas are much better.
Cyangwa abari hano mu Rwanda nibo beza.
Or the ones here in Rwanda are much better.
Navuga ngo hari igihe umutima ugutuma aho ushaka.
Your heart can send you where it wants.
When love sends you, you can't deny it.
Urukundo rukoherejeyo ntabwo wabihakanira.
Even the Bible says that love is blind.
Na Bibiliya ivuga ko urukundo ari impumyi.
Urukundo ntago rugira imipaka.
It doesn't have boundaries.
Yaba rugira imipaka,
If love had boundaries,
abantu bari kuzaza bashaka aho ngaho bari.
people would be getting married where they are.
But then urukundo rugira imipaka.
But the love does not have boundaries.
And we also turaba Kristo.
And we are Christians as well.
We have to know ko hari, I can say that maybe Imana hari umuntu iba yarakugeneye.
God has prepared someone for you.
Yes, which means ntabwo entirely the whole thing about gushaka.
Ntago gushaka rero
Means ko ari choice yawe.
wavuga ngo ni amahitamo yawe gusa.
Hari igihe hari umuntu Imana iba yarakugeneye.
Sometimes there's someone ordained for you.
Wanasanga ari no mu Bushinwa ari umushinwa.
They might be Chinese even.
Ukajya kumukurayo ukamuzana.
And you go to get them and come with them.
So in my opinion, that's a challenging question. Ariko murakoze, that's how I can
Yes,
That's what I
bari
can
hose,
say in my
abagabo bari
opinion.
hose n'abagore bari hose ntabwo ari.
So partners are everywhere, spouses are everywhere.
Ndabizi mufite ibibazo, sorry natindanya aba bantu ariko namwe ndabizi ko mufite ibibazo.
I know you have questions.
Ninde uri bazi ikibazo cya mbere?
We'll be asking the first
Arazamura
question.
ikiganza mu microphone atubwira amazina ye, kandi ni ikibazo kimwe ntawe turi we kubaza ibibazo bibiri kugira ngo duhe n'amahirwe abantu benshi kubaza.
You have the opportunity to ask one question. You can raise your hand and we give you the microphone.
Banza abantu bari hano nta matsiko bafite. Reka duhere kuri Pastor Ben.
Pastor Ben.
Tubanje kubashimira aba bantu n'abanyabwenge. Ibintu batasobanuriye turumva rwose bishobora kugira icyo bidufasha.
They are really wise people. Thank you for the information you've given us.
Nashaka kubaza aba bantu.
I want to ask them,
Iyo tubonye abantu bavuye mu mahanga bagarukira.
when we see people coming back from abroad,
Tujya dutekereza ko amafaranga ibo bayagurishije.
we think that they have so much money.
Noneho hari n'abantu dutangira kubona ati abantu nabo baratwiyemeraho.
We think even
barava aho twebwe turimo kurota kwirukanka tujya.
they're coming back from where we want to go.
Ni ukwereka bagaze.
Why do they come back?
Ndashaka ngo mbabaze.
I want to ask,
Amafaranga mwarayagurishije.
do you have so much money now
Mwagarutse.
that you came back?
Wenda mugisubirayo.
Even though you are returning?
Ndanumva impamvu nabajije nazamuye ukuboko igihe bavuze ngo ni bande bantu bashaka kujya gutura mu mahanga.
The reason I raised my hand when they asked people want to go live abroad,
Menya ari njye bazamuye njye abandi bose ntibazamuye.
I think I'm the first one.
Ariko nubwo ntari Imana ndimo ndabareba mu mitima.
Even though
bazamuye mu mitima.
they lifted up their hands in their hearts.
None rero bavandimwe.
So I want to ask you,
Mudusubiremo ahantu nje sinahumvisha ahantu bavuze ngo hariho ngo amahame yo kuba successful ngo namwe hano no muri Amerika.
repeat something about the principles of becoming successful being the same. Someone is dreaming to go abroad in 1 year, and we see different houses being lifted up here. Are those principles the same? Another one. At home, even other people here, I think it's the same. They pay utilities like water, electricity,
abagira amamodoka bayishyura amasiranse n'ibindi byinshi,
insurance for cars,
yewe abantu benshi bagira n'amasiranse bamwe yabo,
even medical insurance.
noneho twajya kumva tukumva abanyamerika baravuga cyane ibintu by'amabizi.
And we are hearing Americans say bills.
cyane cyane iyo bigeze ku bintu byo kudukandira akanyenyeri.
If they want to give us, to send us money,
noneho nkibaza mwebwe amabizi yanyu ko numvishe bayavuze cyane,
because you say so much, you speak so much about bills.
nayahe mwebwe mugira samazi n'umuriro,
Don't you have the same utilities as us?
na internet.
si ibi byose na internet
Isn't-
tusigaye tuzigira tukazishura ku kwezi, siko yemwe? none ayanyu ko numvishe mwayavuze cyane amabizi
Your bills
yo muri
abroad,
Amerika, namwe n'aya hano
are they the same as us?
murakoze.
Yeah. Rakoze reka twumve.
Muzungu from the UK.
Ndi umuzungu umwe wo muri UK.
And when you say that the Americans have a harder time balancing life,
Iyo uvuze ngo abanyamerika birabagora kubaho ubuzima bw'akazi ndetse n'ubuzima busanzwe bwabo,
but they still have more money,
ariko bakaba bagifite amafaranga menshi,
what do you think that the Rwandans understand which the Americans don't?
wumva ari iki abanyamerika bumva abanyarwanda batumva? I repeat.
Yes, sinzi ko ikibazo cye mwacyumvise neza. Yes, reka tubanze dusubize ibyo kugira ngo tuze gusubiza n'ibindi nyuma. Reka duhere kuri Jean asubize ku bibazo Ben yabajije, then
Let's start by Jean.
turagenda ntawo babajije ubu turabivanga twese tugenda dusubiza.
Ben, amahame namwe
The principles are the same,
kubera ko hano mu Rwanda hari abantu bateye imbere,
because in Rwanda there are people who are successful,
kubera ko binheritinze amafaranga
because they've inherited the money,
cyangwa ari abahanga
or maybe
bakoze,
intellectually successful.
ariko nabivuze ama economy aratandukanye.
Economies are different.
Naberetse ko GDP y'u Rwanda na GDP y'Amerika biratandukanye cyane.
I've talked about the GDP of Rwanda and the one in the US.
So the market marché iratandukanye.
The market is different.
Of course uri muri Amerika aggregate ya success iri different na hano.
If you are in America, your level of success can be, you have higher chances than here.
Wibajije abantu uzi bagiye muri Amerika bose bafite ama etage rusororo?
The people you know who went in America, do they have all houses in Rusororo?
Oh, yeah? I don't think so, right?
Ntabwo mbitekereza ko ariko bimeze.
So ni ukuvuga ngo hari abantu bagiye muri Amerika, hari abantu muri Amerika bari muri prison.
There are some people in America and then they are in prison.
Bavuye ino ari abakristo,
They've been here when they were Christians.
bagereyo bajya muri prison.
Arriving there, they are in jail.
So amahame namwe, ariko abo bantu baza rusororo, I think ni cya kintu navuze, bahisemo icyo bashaka.
Principles are the same, but the ones who are able to build those houses in Rusororo have chosen what they wanted.
Nafatikanya na cya kibazo kindi cy'ama bills.
Even also answering about the bills,
hari ibyo dushikiramwo natwe tutarasobanukirwa.
there is something we find ourselves in without really having much experience.
Umuntu akagerayo agahita agura inzu,
Maybe you arrive there and you immediately buy a house,
ikamubera a big expense.
and it becomes a big expense.
Noneho agakora yenda ntiyasobanukiwe interest rates,
And maybe they didn't know about interest rates,
ukuntu amaterm ya loan yiwe ameze.
the way the terms of the loan are.
Ugasanga umuntu arakora cyane ariko ntabasha gusagura, ntabasha kubona andi mafaranga yatuma akagura ikibanza akanatera imbere hano.
You find they are working so much for paying that house, but they can't get the money to come here and buy land.
Mvuga cyane aba immigrants b'abanyafrika bo muri aka karere mu Rwanda n'ahandi.
Emphasizing on immigrants from Africa, East Africa especially.
Impamvu babasha kuza hano bakatwiyemeraho,
The reason why they
nanjye
can
nishyiremo,
come back
nuko all they do is work.
is because nuko ibyo bakora byose ari ugukora cyane.
Nawe uretse kuririmba ukareka ibindi bintu ukora ukavuga ati nzajya nkora 24 hours.
If you stop singing and then you say I'm going to work 24 hours,
Ndakora akazi gasanzwe.
I'll do a normal job.
Nimugoroba mfate moto ntware moto.
In the evening I take the bike.
Kuwa gatandatu ngiye gukuburira umukire.
On Saturday I'm going to clean for a particular wealthy man.
On Sunday ngenda nzana ibirayi mu Ruhengeri, shaka isoko hano.
I'm finding market for potatoes from Ruhengeri.
So I mean, if all you do is work,
niba ibyo uri gukora gusa ari akazi,
ibyo byose uzarusha amafaranga wa wundi uda spending as much time akora.
You will be more rich than the person who is not spending so much time working.
So amakuru mumaze kuyamenya turabizi.
You have so much information, I know.
So ntago turi bujye in details.
We are not going to go in details.
Ariko abantu bacu nyine barakora kubera ko nibyo nyine abantu dushira imbere.
Our people are working because that's what they are putting in front.
And so Zank will probably expand on that.
Zank araza gukomeza kubisobanura.
So I'll make a little bit differentiation from a friend from the UK.
Navuga itandukanyirizo wenda ku muntu wanjye wo muri UK.
Of course, for us, we think about America through our own lenses, through our friends, our family, the people we know.
Dutekereza Amerika biciye mu ko tubona imiryango yacu n'abantu tuziranye.
America is big.
Ariko Amerika ni nini cyane.
And so the Americans we found there have another way they live.
Abanyamerika twahasanze bafite ubundi buryo babayeho.
They understand the power of compound effect.
Bumva ikiza cyo gukorera hamwe.
For them, they are there. They were born there. Their parents were born there. Their grandparents were there. They're not looking to move to another country.
Bo barahavukiye ababyeyi babo n'abasekuru babo ntago bashaka kuva muri icyo gihugu, barashaka kuguma aho ngaho bari.
Their way of life is different.
Uburyo babayeho ubuzima bwabo buratandukanye.
The way they invest.
Uburyo bahitamo aho gushyira amafaranga.
So then their perspective is really different from ours.
Uko bo rero bumva ibintu bitandukanye cyane nuko twe tubyumva.
I'll give you an example. I employ, like the people they say, I employ almost more than 200 people.
Naguha urugero, mfite abakozi barenga 200.
We have a benefit in America called 401k.
Hari benefit cyangwa se amahirwe bafite muri Amerika yitwa 401k,
which is a retirement investment that most Caucasians use so that when they retire they can be able to take care of themselves.
Ni uburyo bwo kubika amafaranga babikira ikiruhuko cy'izabukuru.
Less than 1% of all my employees take advantage of that.
Munsi ya 1% mu bakozi mfite nibo bonyine bakoresha ubwo buryo bwo kubika amafaranga kubw'ikiruhuko cy'izabukuru.
And 90% are Africans, Rwandese, Congolese, Burundians.
Kandi 90% rwabo ni Abanyafrika, Abanyarwanda, Abakongomani.
Why? Because they want to have money today.
Nuko bashaka kugira amafaranga ubu ngubu ntibayabikira icyo gihe.
They want to be rich today.
Barabishaka kuba abakire ubu ngubu.
But we don't think about the future.
Ntago batekereza ahazaza.
We don't think about investments.
Ntago batekereza uko babika amafaranga.
And I'm comparing myself to someone I left here or to someone I am with in the US.
Ndi kwigeranya rero n'umuntu nasize ahangaha cyangwa uwo mbana nawe aho hanze.
So the bills are there.
Ego ibyo kwishyura birahari.
And they're the same like you described here.
Kandi bimeze kimwe n'ibyo nahangaha mukoresha mwishyura.
But there's an element of frustration. When the quality of life is low, people tend to be frustrated.
Ariko imwe mbere y'ubuzima bwawe uri hasi abantu babaho batishimye.
So proportions are different.
Usanga rero bitandukanye.
If you're not happy,
niba utishimye,
the unit of measure is different.
Uko ubara ibintu biba bitandukanye.
You look at sending $100 to Kigali, you're like, oh, that's going to change their life. But even if it's not too much money to me,
utekereza kohereza nk'amadolari 100 mu Rwanda nubwo atari menshi ukumva birahindura ikintu kinini cyane.
But people have bills for sure. People have bills because of decisions they make. America is a tricky country.
Kubera rero ibyemeza abantu baba barabafasha baba bafite ibintu bishyura bitandukanye.
You can literally live on credit. Everything can be on credit. Your phone, your house, your car, your clothes, everything. Even the plates you eat with.
Ibintu byose utunze bishobora kubaho ku ideni.
And then you find yourself bound.
Ugasanga rero urafunze cyangwa se umeze nk'uziritse.
And sometimes it's hard to take yourself out of that hole.
Kandi biba bigoye kugira ngo uzishyure iryo deni ryose ry'ibintu ubuzima bwawe ukoresha mu buzima bwawe bwa buri munsi.
I hope some of those made sense.
Ndumva wenda bimwe navuze naba nagushubije.
Ndashaka ko Zenke akora ku kintu Pastor Ben yavuze cyo kugaruka hano. Nuko mwabonye amafaranga mwari mukeneye muravuga ngo reka twigarukire muri Afrika. cyangwa nuko hari ibyiza bindi mubona muri Afurika izindi opportunities nazo zihari?
I want to touch on the idea of coming back here. Is it because you got so much money, or is it because you want to change something here?
So there is a quote that says, Northwest, home is always the best.
Hari ijambo rivuga ngo aho wajya hose mu rugo niho heza.
And honestly, the wise know to do better to invest back home.
Kandi abazi ubwenge bashobora gushyira amafaranga yabo iwabo.
The reason back home you feel equal.
Kubera ko iyo uri iwanyu bawumva mwese mungana.
As an immigrant, you're not discriminated upon.
Ntago hari ivangura.
And so I wanted to answer Pastor Ben.
Nashaka rero gusubiza Pastor Ben.
And say that everything comes from the mindset.
Ibintu byose bituruka mu mitekerereze.
We could be doing the same job.
Dushobora gukora akazi kamwe.
And I'm able to come back, invest and build those homes.
Nkaba nashobora kugaruka nkashyira amafaranga hano nkubaka amazu atandukanye.
But yet somebody like Jean said is basically living on credit.
Ariko hakaba hariho umuntu nk'uko Jean yabivuze ubayeho afata amadeni menshi.
Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail because my brother here said it.
Ntabyinjiyemo cyane kuko yabivuze umuvandimwe wanjye hano.
But I'm going to elaborate what he said, that why is it that most people are coming and yet others have spent so many years and are not able to come back.
Ndashaka gusobanura ku kintu kivuga ngo hari bamwe bari kuza ariko hari n'abandi bamaze igihe kinini kandi badashobora no kuza ahangaha.
So number one, there are people that are really good at preparing.
Hari abantu rero bazi gutegura cyane nibo ba mbere navugaho.
And they have passive income.
Bakagira amafaranga binjiza ariko batayakorera mu kazi ka buri munsi.
So these people when they come back home,
iyo rero abo ngabo bagarutse,
then they are able to invest.
Bashobora rero kugira gushora.
And I'll give you another example in my opinion.
Naguhereza urundi rugero.
That I think that the reason why people don't come back.
Impamvu abantu batagaruka.
Is because maybe people have not gone to the US like education.
Nuko hari wenda bagiye badashaka kwiga.
Bagezeyo ntibige.
They arrived there and they didn't study.
Kandi wenda hano mu Rwanda hari competition y'utuzi n'ubuzima ku ntantu babayeho.
And here there was a competition of life and the people and the life you are living.
Ugasanga rero agize impungenge nimva mu mahanga ndaza hano nkora iki.
And you say, if I come from abroad, what will I be doing here in the country?
Ndaza nicare nta kazi nta mafaranga.
Will I be sitting with no money and with no job?
So ugasanga baye colonized or with the slavery, the whole point of just working and working.
Ugasanga ragumye muri ubwo buzima bwo gukomeza gukora gusa.
Ikindi kintu ntekereza ko abantu batagaruka sometimes.
Abandi bantu batagaruka impamvu another thing I think of people who are not coming back
is personal choice.
Uguhitamo kwabo.
Hari abantu bagezeyo bagashima.
There are some people who arrived there and they were pleased with what they found.
Bakavuga ati bitewe n'ukuntu nabaga
and seeing
Nyamirambo.
How I was in Nyamirambo,
ubuzima nabayemo,
the life I've lived,
ntabwo nagaruka.
I can't come back.
Ugasanga baribagiwe.
So you find they are forgetting.
Ariko nyamara mu byukuri home is always the best.
But mu rugo niho hahora ari ahambere.
And then there is another quote that says whatever you put your mind onto,
hari irindi jambo rivuga ngo icyo ushyizeho umutima wawe,
you can achieve it.
Ushobora kukibona.
Thank you.
Barakoze cyane. Barakoze cyane rwose birasobanutse. Reka twakira ibindi bibazo bike. Hari turahera kuri evangeliste narangiza hari Celine nawe ndamuha umwanya baze n'umuturanyi wanyu w'umunyamerika nawe uri nahangaha nawe afite ikibazo banza cyangwa ashaka kuzuza ku byo muri kuvuga.
Let's take other questions as well. I have 3 questions or what I want to request. I've been listening to they are saying as if they are advising people who wants to go abroad, not the people who wants to stay. You've spoken about learning how to drive if you want to go abroad and preparing. You can get the equivalent so that you can continue your studies abroad. So please advise the people who wants to stay, who don't want to go. How can they stay here and have a good quality of life? That's one. Another one,
mwavuze ngo iyo umuntu ageze iri iwanyu
you said when someone arrives there,
kubera amasaha menshi uba uri mu kazi ubura umwanya wo kuganira n'abantu bawe like family.
because you are spending so much time working, you don't balance it with a family.
Noneho ugasanga igice kimwe kinini ca communication yabaye hasi cyane.
And you find that your communication went low with your family.
Reka dushime iwanyu ko baba bari mu kazi.
It's good that they are working.
Niki mwabwira bari no batagira uwo mwanya wo kuganira na family baba Instagram, Facebook.
What can you advise the people who are here not working yet not really with their families?
TikTok.
They are on TikTok, Instagram.
Ico ni ca gatatu ca kabiri.
That's the second one.
Ca gatatu.
The third one,
uriya sister yavuze ngo gushaka n'Imana yitiramwe umuntu bamubajije ibyo ba diaspora.
the sister said God is the one who chooses a spouse for someone.
So iyo umaze gushaka mu diaspora wagiririya nimuhuze Imana iba yaragwitiyemo nabi.
When you choose a diaspora from here and when you arrive there, you guys cannot communicate. Is it God who chose wrong for you?
Thank you, Banita William.
arakoze
Thank
cyane
you.
Evangeliste William,
His
ibibazo
name is
bikomeye
William.
cyane. Nanjye mfite amatsiko yo kumva ibisubizo byabyo. Waha Celine first.
You can give to Celine first.
murakoze nanjye icyo mbaza ni nk'icyambere yabajije ariko ngenda ba straight forward ku kibazo kirabaza ngo nk'aba Joshua generation bicaye hano iyo muza gucuzinga ndabizi ntago nyine ariko byagenze ariko ni opinion zanyu iyo muza gucuzinga kutajya hariya ese mwari nyine guhitamo kwanyu kwari ukuguma hano kurusha kugenda hariya ese nihe hari opportunity kurusha ahandi kuko mwavuze ngo ibintu nyine bimeze kimwe washinga business hariya nk'uko wayigira hano ndashaka kubaza iyo mugira amahitamo mwari kuguma hano murakoze.
So you talked about things being the same as the same principles for success. If you had the opportunity or if it was up to you, would you have chosen to stay or really go abroad?
Undi umwe kibazo kimwe.
Thank you so much. My name is Frank.
Nitwa Frank.
My question,
Ikibazo cyanjye,
sometimes I'm confused because if you find someone has a lot of money,
biranshaka ko rimwe na rimwe hari igihe umuntu aba afite amafaranga,
but when he starts a business, he
yatangira
can't.
business, it doesn't work.
We as Joshua generation, what do we need for us to start a business?
Ni iki dukeneye nka Joshua generation kugira ngo dutangire kwikorera?
Thank you.
Ni iki dukeneye kugira ngo dutangire kwikorera? Yes, ejo twabiganiriye ariko nabo baraza kubivuga mu rwego rwabo. Reka tumaze dusubize ibi tuze kureba ko tubona umwanya wo kumva ibindi. Ndasaba ja asubize ku bibazo Evangeliste William yabajije.
I want Jean to answer the Evangelist William's questions.
Anakore kuri iki ngiki Celine abajije ngo se iyo biza kuba guhitamo wari kuba guhitamo kugenda cyangwa kuguma hano.
And also tackle for the certain question if they would prefer to stay or go abroad.
Yes, na Sister Nozenkaraza kusubizaho Jean atangire.
Reka mpere ku cy'umuvandimwe arangirijeho.
The last one, I'm going to start with it.
If you want to start a business,
Niba ushaka gutangira kwikorera,
you have to have a plan.
ugomba kuba ufite umugambi.
You get an idea,
Ufite igitekerezo,
but millions of people have ideas.
ariko abantu benshi bafite ibitekerezo.
You have to make an extra step,
Ugomba gutera intambwe,
and you make a plan.
ukabitegura.
You learn about the idea, you test your idea.
Ukiga kuri icyo gitekerezo ushaka ndetse ukanakigereranya.
So the idea you have, usually there is someone else who is doing the same thing or close to the same thing.
Igitekerezo ufite akenshi usanga hari undi muntu uri.
So if you're truly passionate about your idea or the business you want to start,
Niba rero ukunze igitekerezo cyawe,
you will find I've seen people that will go ask for internships.
nabonye hari abantu bagenda bagashaka akazi ko kwimenyereza.
So that you get paid to learn.
Ukishyurwa kandi uri kwiga icyo kintu uri gushaka gukora.
And then you can venture after that.
Nyuma yaho umaze kukimenya nawe ukaba wagikora.
Of course, there's lack of capital.
Hari igihe umuntu wenda ashobora kubura igishoro.
But that's not often the problem. It is a problem, but it's not the major problem.
ni ikibazo kubura igishoro ariko ntabwo ari cyo kibazo cy'ibanze.
If you can answer why you want to start your business,
niba ushobora kwisubiza impamvu ushaka gutangira iyo business,
if the motives are pure,
niba ubishaka koko,
you're gonna work 16 hours a day.
uzakora amasaha menshi 16 ku munsi.
You will go beg
uzanasaba wenda
for people to teach you.
abantu bakwigishe.
So once you have acquired the skills,
igihe rero wabonye ubwo bumenyi,
if it's a product or a service,
niba hari wenda ikintu runaka ushaka gukora,
so you need to differentiate wishes from concrete business ideas.
ugomba gutandukanya ibyifuzo n'igitekerezo cyavamo umushinga.
So don't wish.
ntuhere mu byifuzo gusa,
Write your idea down
wandike igitekerezo cyawe,
and then look around you. What do you have?
unanarebe ahakuzengurutse niba hari ibintu wenda ufite wakoresha.
You can talk to someone about your idea and then they can give you an advice.
ushobora kuvugisha umuntu icyo gitekerezo ufite akakugira inama.
I know I am using simplistic terms,
ndi kubigira nk'ibyoroshye yego,
but it's possible.
ariko birashoboka.
Ibindi bibazo ica mariage ndakirekera Zank.
Other question for the marriage one, I will leave it to Zank.
Mushiki wacu yavuze ngo would you have, if iyo tugira amahitamo twari kujyayo.
Our sister asked if it was up to us, would we go or stay here since the chances are the same.
So ntabwo navuze ko mu Rwanda cyangwa muri Afrika ari kimwe no muri Amerika.
I did not say that Africa and America is the same.
Biratandukanye.
It's different, yes.
Abantu baratandukanye.
People are different.
Imico iratandukanye.
Cultures.
Kandi navuze ko muri Amerika ama opportunité économique ari menshi kuruta hano.
I've said that in America the aggregate of chances to go higher are much more than here.
So muri make ndi kuvuga nkaho ibyo byose Amerika hari ikirusha hano.
I'm saying that there is something better to America than here.
Sibyo? Twumvikanye. Muri Amerika ni economy nini.
It's a bigger economy in America.
Ni igihugu kinini.
It's a big country.
America ifite ama state 50 hariya nimwe cyangwa 51.
It has 51 states.
Mu gihe u Rwanda it's a small country.
While in Rwanda it's very small.
Amerika ikora kuri Atlantic no kuri Pacific.
It touches Pacific and Atlantic.
Amerika waba umuhinzi, ukaba umworozi, ukaba hajya passion ukaba umurobyi. Muri Maine bararoba cyane.
You can see in Maine there are fishers, there are you can go in agriculture sector or different sectors. There are many sectors.
Utuye muri West Coast, muri San Francisco.
If you're in San Francisco,
hari technology.
There's high technology.
Ugiye muri Texas hari petrol, wakwimba petrol.
If you go to Texas, they're advanced in petroleum.
Ugiye muri Midwest wahinga, abantu barahinga cyane.
In Midwest there is agriculture.
Ugiye muri Northeast wakwiga, wakora ibintu bijyanye na education. So America ari igihugu kinini gifite ama opportunity menshi.
America has more opportunities.
Icyo navuze icyatumutera imbere muri Amerika.
What I said is what can advantage you to be successful in America.
Nicyo cyane tumutera imbere hano.
Is the same that can help you to be successful here.
Nubwo imbogamizi zitandukanye.
Even though challenges are different.
Hano hari imbogamizi.
Here there are challenges.
No muri Amerika hari imbogamizi.
Even in America there are challenges.
Of course ugize amahirwe yo kujya muri Amerika.
If you get the chance to go to America,
yakoreshe neza.
Use it well.
Have a plan.
Have a plan cyangwa se ugira umugambi.
Decide what you want.
Hitamo icyo ushaka.
Kwitura muri Amerika ntibita bikugira umukire.
Just being in America does not make you rich.
Abantu bagiriya bakicwa n'inzoga.
You can go there and be a drunkard.
Kandi na hano barazisize.
Even here there was alcohol.
Abantu bagerayo, so going to America is not synonymous to success.
Kuba wajya muri Amerika ntabwo bivuze ngo uhitukira.
Although America has more opportunities than our African countries.
menshi kurusha muri Afrika ntabwo bivuze ngo uhitukira.
Of course, I am thankful for the opportunity to have gone to the US.
Ndashimira rero amahirwe ngiye naba naragize kugira ngo njye muri Amerika yego.
I acquired a world-class education.
Nize neza.
I got to discover myself.
Nanjye bwanjye nabashije kwisobanukirwa.
And I'm still on a journey to make more of myself.
N'ubu ngubu hari byinshi nshaka kwibyazamo umusaruro.
There's a lot I have achieved because of that opportunity.
Kubera ayo mahirwe nagize.
But But I'm not going to say I would have achieved the same should I have stayed here.
ntabwo navuga ngo nari kuba narageze kuri ayo mahirwe iyo mba naragumye aha.
But I firmly believe that the principles are the same.
ariko nizana ntashidikanya ko amahamwe ari amwe.
The outcomes might be different.
wenda uko umusaruro ushobora gutandukana.
But the principles are, if you work hard, if you're determined, if you're a learner. I was at a conference this morning.
hari ahantu narindi mu gitondo.
There are Africans who have multi-million-dollar startups.
abanyafrika bamaze kugera ku mamiliyoni mu business zabo.
In Nigeria, in Ghana,
bo muri Nigeria no muri Ghana.
Even here in Rwanda.
ndetse no mu Rwanda.
So of course, the environment is not the same.
ntago aho dutuye ari hamwe yego.
But it's doable.
ariko birashoboka.
For the people who want to stay here.
abantu rero bashaka kuguma aha.
Communication is harder there because people are working.
uburyo bwo kuvugana n'abantu biragoye kubera ko abenshi baba bari mu kazi cyane.
But it doesn't mean everyone who is there has poor communication.
ariko ntago bivuze ngo bari hari ababana nabi bose.
We have people who are thriving.
hari abantu babayeho neza.
People who have made those decisions.
babihisemo bafashe icyo cyemezo.
To say I'm going to work this amount of hours.
bakava nzakora amasaha menshi yego.
So I can nzakora amasaha agereranyije.
nzakora amasaha I will work an average of hours.
noneho ngira umwanya w'umuryango.
and then have time for family.
ngira umwanya wa social w'ama hobbies.
have time for social affairs and hobbies as well.
And then ugasanga umuntu ateye imbere.
and then you find that they have been really advanced or successful in their life.
ariko TikTok no muri Amerika irahari.
But also TikTok, even in America, it's there.
Instagram irahari.
Instagram is there.
Twitter irahari.
Twitter is also there.
So abantu bari distracted hano nkuko abantu bari distracted muri Amerika.
So people are distracted here the same way are distracted in the US.
nyine hari ababa distracted bari ku kazi yenda bakaba barimo kwinjiza.
Some people maybe they are earning while they are distracted as well.
ariko distraction nyine ni umwanzi utuma dutera imbere.
But the distraction is an enemy of success.
mbere yuko Zenke asubiza ndashaka ko Bishop atubwira yahisemo we kugaruka. Yatubwiye ajya bitubwira hano ko yageze muri Amerika 90 na if I am not mistaken cya 2000 na atubwire we yahisemo kugaruka. Ayo ni amahitamo atandukanye n'abahisemo kugumayo. Ayo mahitamo murabona atarabaye successful.
I want Bishop to talk to us since in 2001 he chose to come back. His decision or his choices were successful.
Just to support ibyo yavuze ko hano ushobora kuba waragumye hano nabwo ugakomeza uga thriving.
To support that you can be here and also thrive as well.
arakoze success sinzi niba nari nageraho nifuza kugera.
So I can't say I've achieved the success I want to achieve.
ariko simpamya yuko iyo nguma muri Amerika nari kuba ngeze aho wenda ntageze ndi hano.
But I can't say that staying in America would have arrived where I am here.
nagiye muri Amerika mu 2001.
I went in America in 2001.
nkuko Jean yagiye yajyanywe na bourse ya president.
As Jean went with the presidential scholarship.
nagiye muri conference ya leta yari nta nubwo ari conference yari amahugurwa nishuriwe na leta.
I also went in some particular training paid by the government.
nagomba kumara amezi 2 ahantu yitwa Washington DC.
I was to stay in Washington DC for 2 months.
nari muri kaminuza yitwa George Washington University.
I was in the George Washington University.
ngomba kumara ya amezi 2.
I was to stay there for 2 months.
Aribyo bitango ni summer classes z'abanyamategeko bayitango ni summer class n'amashuri y'abantu bitegura kujya gukora yo masters.
So there are summer classes for people in law. People were preparing to study masters.
nari ntarashaka.
I had not had the wedding yet.
kandi sinari mfite gahunda yo gushaka vuba ko nta mufiance nari mfite hano.
And I had no plan because I didn't have a fiance here.
ngeze hariya ibitekerezo kimwe n'abandi byo kuguma hariya byarazaga.
Once I reached there, I had the same thoughts as others to stay there.
twagiye turi 5.
We were 5 of us.
twari ahantu hatandukanye.
In different places.
ko turi 5 umugore umwe twari kumwe w'imyaka nka 40 icyo gihe niwe twagarukanye.
A 40-year-old woman in our midst was the one who came back.
abandi bajene twari kumwe 3 bose bahise baguma hariya.
The other 3 colleagues stayed there.
kandi twari turangije ngiye kwiga i Butare muri kaminuza nawe.
And we had ended our school in Butare or our bachelors.
kugaruka kwanje yari amahitamo atoroshe.
So coming back here was a hard choice.
si ubwo gusa.
It's not only
na nyuma
then.
yaho nyuma y'imyaka nk'ibiri
Even after 2 years,
icyo gihe nari maze gushaka dufite n'umwana
I had one child and I had a marriage.
twashoboye kujyana n'umugore n'uwo mwana mutoya mu Bubiligi.
We went there, we were in Belgium with our kid.
Icyo gihe nabyo nari mfite amahirwe yo kuba naguma hariya,
I also had chances to stay there.
ariko nabwo ntabwo nagumyeyo.
Also, I didn't choose to stay.
Ibindi byo byanyuma byo murabizi nta kibazo.
The others, you know them.
So namenye ibintu nka bitatu.
So once I learned like 3 things.
Icyambere,
The first one,
umugisha w'umuntu ntuba ahantu.
the blessing of someone is not in one place.
Umugisha w'umuntu arawugendana.
You walk with your blessing.
Hari abantu bakomeye hano
There are many important people here
bifuzwa n'abanyaburayi, bifuzwa n'abanyamerika.
who are needed by Europeans and even Americans.
Icyo nicyo kintu cya mbere namenye.
That's what I can say.
So kumbwira rero ngo ngumye muri Amerika birampa amahirwe menshi.
To say staying in the US will give me more chances.
Ego hari amahirwe, n'ibihugu birimo amahirwe.
Of course there are opportunities.
Ariko kumbwira ngo birampa umugisha,
But to say it is giving me a blessing,
so
that's not
bitanga
right.
amahirwe ariko ntibitanga umugisha.
It gives you opportunities but not a
Kuko
blessing.
nkigera na hariya nasanze abantu basaba ku mihanda, hari nabo nasanze icyo gihe niyo nsubiyeyo sanga bameze badatandukanye nuko nabasanze icyo gihe.
Even arriving there, I saw some beggars. There are even people I see now who are not different by the way I saw them before.
So umugisha rero ntabwo uri ahantu uri ku muntu.
So the blessing is not in one location, a geographical location, it is on a
Cya kabiri
person.
gikomeye,
A second one,
mu byatumye ngaruka,
the reason why I came back,
narasenze,
I prayed.
abantu bambwira ngo ni hano ugomba kuguma.
People say you should stay here,
Numva neza umutima urambwira yuko ngomba kugaruka,
but my heart saying you have to return.
ariko numva n'Imana inganiriza ko ngomba kugaruka.
Even God telling me you have to return.
Namenye yuko kuba mu bushake
So I
bw'Imana
said being in God's will
ari wo mugisha ukomeye
is where there is a blessing
kuruta kwiyobora.
than leading yourself.
Kuva icyo gihe n'ubu ngubu
From then even now,
mba ahantu numva ndi mu bushake bw'Imana,
I'm living a place where I feel I'm in God's will.
kandi iyo ndi mu bushake bw'Imana mba ndaho ngomba kuba.
And when I'm in God's will, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Imana ntiyagushira ahantu itazakugezaho umugisha wawe.
God cannot put you in a place He won't give you a blessing.
Nigutuza muri Afurika,
If you are living in Africa,
ni naho umugisha wawe uri.
that's where your blessing is.
Nikujyana muri Amerika,
If it brings you
izajyanayo n'umugisha wawe.
in the US, then you go with
Hari
your
abantu benshi
blessing.
usanga bavuga ngo mbuze umuntu ungeza muri Amerika kubera yuko ariho hari umugisha wanjye. Urabesha, umugisha wawe uri aho Imana yagushize, kandi aho ngaho uri umugisha wawe uzagusanga.
People want to go abroad because they said that's where your blessing are, but that's wrong. You are where your blessing is.
Icya gatatu,
The third one,
umugisha wose Imana itanga
every blessing God gives,
iwunyuza mu mirimo y'amaboko yacu.
it passes in the works of our hands.
Umukozi nyawe
A good worker,
habe na hano azana itandukaniro.
even here you can bring a change.
Dufite abantu benshi bazi ngo iyo ugeze muri Amerika ibintu byose birikora.
You have people who believe that if you arrive in the US, things are going to start working
Niba ari
automatically.
ahantu hasaba imbaraga nyinshi,
If there is a place which requires more effort,
harya Imana yabwiye Adamu ngo uzarya wishakuye,
where God told Adam, you are going to
ni
eat by
muri
your sweat,
Amerika.
it's in America.
Ariko uwize cyane,
If you study hard,
ugakora cyane,
working hard,
uba uri mu mahame Imana iheramo
you
umugisha.
are in the principles that God gives blessing.
Abantu benshi rero barasenga gusa,
So many people pray so much,
ntibakore,
they don't work,
bakibaza yuko bazahura n'umugisha ugenda.
and they think they will meet a blessing
Nta
walking.
manu ikimanuka,
There is no manna still
ntayo
coming.
muzahura nayo,
You won't meet it.
ariko nimutangira gukora
If you start working,
muzahura n'umugisha wanyu.
you will meet with your
Ayo
blessing.
niyo mahame numva nagendeyeho,
Those are the blessing, the principles I can share,
kandi akomeje kunyubaka na n'ubu.
and they are leading me even now.
Murakoze.
arakoze cyane Bishop, amahame meza rwose
Thank you so much,
kandi ni ubuhamya
Bishop.
bufatika
And it's a good testimony,
butwereka ko twanakora cyane na hano naho tukaba successful,
showing us that we could even be successful
nubwo
even
atubwiye ngo
here.
ntaragera aho ashaka kugera,
Even though he's saying he has not arrived to his success,
ariko abenshi tugeze aho ageze twashima Imana.
but many of us, if we arrived to where you are, we would be
Yeah.
very thanking God.
Reka dukomeze. Zenk nawe yaragiye kuvuga ku kibazo Evangelist William yabajije ngo ese wabwira icyo abantu baba hano ariko nabo batagira umwanya wo kuganira n'ingo zabo n'abana babo, bakaba distracted, ugasanga nabo nta wa mwanya bafite wo kwita ku miryango yabo kandi bafite n'ubwo buryo.
Then can continue about people who are staying here, but still they are distracted and not meeting with their family, while they are not working as much as the people abroad.
Can you hear me? Okay, yes. I was going to say that social media
icyo navuga ku mbuga nkoranyambaga
is the worst idol nowadays.
ni nk'ikigirwamana kibi muri iyi minsi cyangwa se kibi cyane.
You find people going to work or just in their basic regular life,
usanga abantu bari mu buzima bwabo bwa buri munsi,
but they are very, very distracted.
ariko bararangaye cyane.
It's not just here in Africa,
ntabwo ari muri Afurika gusa,
it's also abroad.
no hanze.
I would advise people and say,
nagira abantu inama rero,
there is a quote that says that blood is thicker than water or
hari
something
ijambo
like that.
rivuga amaraso arusha amaraso arusha amazi uburemere.
Yeah, so basically we need to be able to be different.
Tugomba rero kwemera gutandukana
nubwo bigoye,
even though it's hard,
and spend with time with family when we still have them.
ukagumana n'umuryango igihe ukiwufite.
There is going to come a time
hari igihe kizagera
when things won't remain the same.
ibintu ntibibe nk'uko byari bimeze.
Maybe you won't have someone to call to.
ukaba wenda nta muntu wo guhamagara ufite.
You would long so much to have that.
ukifuza cyane kugira icyo kintu.
And you wasted that opportunity.
kandi wari ugifite ukagipfusha ubusa.
So it's hard to say because social media has really destroyed so many people's thoughts and perspectives.
biragoye kuko imbuga nkoranyambaga zahinduye imitekerereze y'abantu.
But the advice would be rather to be the Joshuas and advocate against it.
ariko inama yaba ari kuba Joshua generation, kuba aribo batangiza iyi mpinduka,
and try and make an impact with their families when we still have that chance.
bakagira uko babana n'imiryango yabo bakibafite.
Another question that I will answer was in regards to the marriage part.
ikindi nasubiza ni icyerekeye gushaka.
I was gonna challenge him and ask him a little bit.
nanjye ndashaka kukubaza gake.
Because he said that there are people that are basically marrying abroad and then within a short period of time they separate.
kuko yavugaga ati hari abantu bashyingirwa wenda bagashyingirwana n'abantu bo hanze mu gihe gito bagatandukana.
My question for you is that here in Rwanda, take an example.
ni ikibazo nakubaza nanjye, ni kuvuga ngo aha mu Rwanda naho
haven't we seen a rise of divorce and people separating?
nabyo ntitwabonye ko gutandukana cyangwa se gatanya nayo iri kwiyongera cyane.
So it's not just to a particular population.
ntabwo bivuze rero ngo ni ibibazo bihura abantu batandukanye bahura nabyo.
But marriage is a project of God.
urushako ni proje y'Imana.
And so that's where the blessing comes from.
niho rero hava umugisha.
And I'm so sorry we emphasized on the life abroad because that's the experience we have.
kandi kuko ndabiseguraho cyane ko twavuze cyane ubuzima bwo kujya hanze kuko niyo experience dufite.
But he asked that what about the people here in Africa? Don't they have those chances and opportunities?
ariko yabazaga ati abo bantu bari muri Afrika ntibafite ayo mahirwe aha bari.
Bishop has elaborated it well.
Bishop yabisobanuyeho neza.
He said that the blessing is not where you live.
avuga ko umugisha atari aho utuye,
but the blessing resides on you.
ahubwo umugisha uba ukuriho.
If God has decided to bless you in a particular situation,
niba Imana yarahisemo kuguha umugisha mu buryo bumwe cyangwa ubundi,
He will bless you no matter where you are.
izawuguha bititaye ku aho waba uri.
And I'm going to dedicate a Bible verse to you.
ndagira ngo ntange n'umurongo wa Bibiliya kuri iki.
It's in Philippians chapter 4, I believe.
mu Bafilipi igice cya 4.
If you have some time, please, you can read about it.
wahasoma wenda.
Thank you so much.
murakoze cyane.
Yes. Thank you. We are at the end. Ariko hari utuntu tubiri ngira ngo mutubwireho.
tugeze ku we are at the end, but I want to ask you something.
Ni trends twumva mu bihugu byanyu mutuyemo.
Ni ibintu
Twumva
there are some
aho
trends we hear where you are living.
Icyambere twumva ko ibintu by'ubutinganyi hariya bikomeye cyane.
Gays where you are, it's something that is very